determine the amount, you'll have to discuss your needs. If the working partner wears suits on the job, he or she will need a little extra to cover clothing. Likewise, if you have a gym membership that has to be paid each month, you'll have to take that into consideration. It's all about compromise, really, and talking it out. One other note. The non-working spouse, if qualified under the law, should be contributing to a spousal IRA. For more on that, listen to the question, I am a married stay-at-home parent. How do I save for retirement? Question 123. I'm getting divorced. What are my first financial steps? The answer to this question depends on a few factors. Is the divorce amicable? Are you the primary earner? Are your finances merged? Let's go through each separately. If the split is on fancy terms, or at the very least you're not worried about your spouse raiding your bank account, you don't have to be too concerned with splitting up your bank accounts right away. Instead, you should focus on exactly how you're going to begin the divorce proceedings and how you'll pay for an attorney. One scenario, and you should consider this option only if you've already agreed on the terms of the split, is to file for divorce on your own, without attorneys. You can first go to family court to decide custody and child support arrangements, and then go to court to finalize the divorce. You'll pay only court fees, considerably less than the cost of an attorney. But you should agree to go this route together, and only if you're on the same page about how you'll split up your assets and the custody of your children. As a general rule, if you have enough assets to afford attorneys, you should probably hire them. You can still sort out the details amicably through mediation or a process called collaborative divorce. If the divorce is hostile and it's possible that your spouse could try to drain your bank accounts, you'll want to take precautions. In most states, you can remove all or some of the funds from a joint account provided you have a legitimate reason to feel that the assets are in jeopardy, and you can place the money in another account for safekeeping. This isn't the time to go on a shopping spree. The court will ask you to prove that you moved the money to protect it, not spend it. You'll also need a legitimate reason for feeling that you had to do this, and spite is not sufficient. Talk to your attorney before making any major moves. If you are what a divorce attorney would call the moneyed spouse, in other words, you bring home the bulk of the family's income, you may want to start to segregate some money. You don't want to cut your husband or wife off completely, but it makes sense to open up an account in your own name and start funneling a reasonable portion of your paychecks in that direction, leaving your spouse enough to cover his or her living expenses. Certainly, if you get a chunk of money separate from your standard paycheck, such as a bonus, you'd want to put it into a separate account. Now, that doesn't mean the money will not be considered joint funds in court. It likely will, but at least you'll have it for safekeeping in the meantime. If you're not the primary earner, maybe you're the one who stays home with the kids, you'll want to make a summary of your budget. You must figure out how much you need to live on, so if you end up having to fight for your fair share, you'll know where to start negotiations. You'll also need to start thinking about how you'll bring in an income when you have a home to maintain on your own. Finally, both parties should make themselves aware of the family's financial situation and assets. Gather all important information such as past tax returns, bank and retirement plan statements, and credit card or loan balances. The idea is to get a rough estimate of what the marital estate is worth, inclusive of your home if you own it, your 401k and IRA balances as well as your spouse's, your mortgage or other debt, your regular bank accounts, and any other assets or liabilities. To find an attorney, go about it the same way you would if you were looking for a doctor or a new accountant. Ask your friends and family. Judging by the divorce rate in the United States, I'm sure you know a handful of people who've gone through the process, so see if they'd recommend the attorney they used. If that effort comes up short, you can call your local bar association and ask for a list of names. Either way, you want to set up consultations with 2 or 3 lawyers. This initial meeting is often free. Do it in person so that you can get a feel for what it would be like to work with each attorney.